none of them are giving any. So maybe we are not great, and that's what is the problem. But at least that's crystal clear that hey, this is not your own thing. This is the industry and the sector itself that is going through this part. And also the kind of that hey, where everybody understands that there is huge challenges to break this shackles. It's deep rooted, some lot of time, and it will require some parallel game going on to decipher this. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough thing to crack and simply make this. At least that was a crystal clear clarity that they don't understand the basics. This is reality, and play with the game, play the rules with that part of it.
Okay. So if I were to rephrase that or paraphrase that, what you're saying is the challenge that you're going through, you're saying it's not unique, right? Everybody is struggling to get through those gatekeepers, right? And everybody is struggling to make the same sales happen. So you're saying that, listen, I'm not alone. Everybody is at it.
And we'll have to find out the...
And the second thing that you're saying is, you're saying this is much harder than what you thought it was. Is that the way you said that there's much deep rooted and there's a need?
So we knew it was hard, the experience was happening. It is reality. It's not that hey, we are experiencing that part of it, and it's not that it suddenly become much harder. Okay, the facts, we haven't misunderstood the market or we haven't misinterpreted the market.
Okay.
That's right. What we are strategizing is fine. We don't need to get worried that hey, we are missing the boat and hence we are detouring. No need to worry.
Okay,
fine.
Okay. Just to add to that, see, the point that I keep saying, especially in education, it takes 2x or 3x the amount of time, effort, money. Don't underestimate the effort, time, money, because it is going to take that time. So you better be prepared for the long haul, right? Rather than saying, I know I'll get it done in 6 months, right? But 6 months will be 12 months, 15 months, right? If you're lucky. So be prepared for the long haul. That's one. Two, I think the other important aspect that learning, if I were to take it out from what you said, is my sense is as entrepreneurs, we are not creating enough collaborations. So one of the questions I have for this group is, in the last 3 days, are there any instances where two of you who are entrepreneurs in that space said, hey, this is how I'll work with you and this is how you'll work with me? Did anything come up at all? Great. Okay, who did you?
The two of us.
Two of you.
Yeah.
So kids matter.
Fantastic. Okay. So what do you? So why don't you just share what came up?
So he has a base of parents.
Okay.
Okay, and I have a product which I want to sell to kids,
Right.
so to parents.
Right.
So we said, what I can give free,
Correct.
so that he can create a value add to
Right.
his customers,
Fantastic.
and I can get a funnel of customers.
Fantastic. Okay, that's with you. And what about you?
So Lokesh here has built an application that allows parents to apply to a bunch of preschools together. That's for kids
Sure.
4 to 7.
Okay.
I've built a learning app that's for
Right.
ages 4 to 10.
Fantastic.
He has a freemium model, and a part of the premium can be a few months extra of mGuru.
Fantastic. Okay, great. I would have loved to see maybe 15 hands go up, right? Because, we are all trying to crack the same problem. It's like the elephant and the 6 blind men, right? The elephant is the same. Somebody is touching the parent side of the trunk, somebody is touching the school side of the trunk, but the problem we are attempting to solve is the same. So I think the learning is that how can we collaborate more, not just with each other. What can we do with the ecosystem, right? For example, Hemant knows one college very well as a relationship, right? How can we pile on to Hemant and say, boss, you shortlist 3 solutions, I don't care how, but go get us into that college. So that one sale is done easier, right? PD knows a bunch of schools, right? So what can we do collaboratively to take a range of solutions into institutions? I think we need to do a lot more of that, right? And that's a great start. But I think given that all of you guys have met each other, maybe each one of you can take a target to say, hey, in the next 1 month, in this group, what can I do to help somebody? And not just giving, it's not just taking, right? It's a two-way relationship. So I think that's the other thing that we're seeing. In fact, and it's a struggle, it's not easy. In the 19 companies we have in the Sylvant portfolio, we struggle to get 2 of them together to talk. Yeah, intent is there. Everybody comes and says, yeah, but at the end of half an hour, the guy is saying, no, but that is not the segment I want to go after. How are you sure that you will work with me? I think I'm wasting my time. Somewhere we got to break that barriers and start working, right? And in a partnership, you can never measure equally and say, oh, now this guy's got exactly 50% of what I've got, or we've got equal. There'll be inequality. Somebody will get more, somebody will get less, but that's the nature of the game. And so that's what I will take away from there. Anything else?
I mean, the classic MVP thing we all know of and that sort of keep reading. The MVP part of what very interesting. I mean, lots like there are 8 other things than MVP in that MVP, so we have to be very sure about that we have thought it through. So,
And just rattle off some of those 8. What do you think?
yeah, so I think the business
was?
ecosystem part of that MVP was totally new, and the disruption part was totally new. And we immediately got many ideas. Last night we were on that actually, so like this is something was key learning for us actually. And we kind of got a framework to think, it's like that 9-point thing. So if we could figure all that out and put it into a deck, hopefully we are good to go.
So it also gave us a view of where we stand in our startup journey on the minimum viable product, proof of product, proof of business, scale up, and all these aspects where we stand. And Vishwanath's iceberg theory, all this, how we can address markets that have been neglected, underserved, or a very competitive market, what position we need to take.
Sure. Okay. My 2 cents on that.
Yeah.
I think MVP in an entrepreneur's mind is not the minimum viable product. It should be maximum value to partner. Okay, because I think again the issue is that we think from our product standpoint,
Yeah.
which is the 8 things is really speaking it from a customer partner standpoint, right? I think the issue that we see everywhere and it's ongoing is that any question to any conversation entrepreneur usually, and you will see this happen several times in your own conversations, that what do you do? And you start out with your product. Oh, I have a product that does this, has this feature, has this bells and whistles or whatever. Rarely do I find entrepreneurs saying, this is the problem I'm solving. Forget the product. This is my customer and this is the problem I'm trying to solve. Right? And that flip is very critical, which is where what is the value I can add to the partner? And therefore, what is your MVP to meet that MVP? So what is your minimum viable product to meet your consideration of the maximum value to partner? Because remember, no customer will tell you, you add some value to me, I'll pay you. Every customer wants every ounce of blood you have in your body. Right? Every customer, ideally, and realistically also, wants to squeeze everything that the entrepreneur has to offer. Or any product has to offer, right? So you have to position it as what is the value you can add to the partner by the MVP that you're bringing into picture. I think that flip is again one learning that I've had, and it's and I'm amazed at obviously, and it's the syndrome, right? Many times when in the company that I'm running now, I get caught in the same syndrome. 1 month later, if somebody asks me, what do you do? I always go back to saying my product, and I have to stop midway in the track and say, damn, I'm making the same mistake again. It's very deep rooted, and I think we have to try very hard to overcome that. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, what else? We have a few more minutes.
Some of the personal learning scopes also. Adult learning is not equal. I mean,
Yeah.
I see hell of change management concepts coming up, shaking up ideas. So, as a facilitator, Vishwanath should be proud that he was able to shake us completely, and each one of us, at least I could see, and the talkings have happened on those lines, that whether it is MVB or not, whether the context is right or not. I mean, we have spoken, couple of us, to each other, whether my idea makes sense or not. Validation is required. So all that has happened even after reaching that level. The perspective learning, building was so fast. It's super. And the most important part is the synergy building which has happened. People along, and then prompting and questioning it on right time has helped us a lot. Excellent.
Great. So one question I have for the group, and I guess this is learning for all of us, is that fine, we've come 3 days, a lot of learning, a lot of bheja fry, saying that this is not the way to do it. tomorrow you'll go back into our own work lives, and 2 days later we've forgotten everything about it. Right? Not because we want to, that's the nature of the beast, right? Can anyone share examples of how you've seen learnings coming out of a workshop like this, or any workshop? What is the method that you guys have used where you're effectively implementing whatever we've learned? Is there any trick or any method that you guys can share? Anybody can share?
So, we typically follow together, me and Sachin. The idea is, the moment you are speaking as a speaker and putting some questions, I reflect back on where I am there on that point of time. And either I will make note or he will make note. And we'll refer it back later on. So the idea is, I know if I am in the right shoe or not.
Sure. So how do you refer back later on, and how often is later on? Do you check in every week, every day, every month? How do you do that?
So it's a segmented approach. So when we are talking about a business plan, we will note, so all the scripting will be checked. And we will discuss it out, whether we are now talking about this particular segment. So what has been written? And the notes are not about what Vishwanath has said. Notes are about how I look at campus outside in the context of what Vishwanath is saying. So to me, it may be that what he is saying, I might go to a different end altogether.
Sure. Okay.
So Madan, but if you look at it, typically I attend these training questions and workshops, right, multiple aspects. There are two types of sessions and workshops that I attend. One are at a higher level where your thoughts are getting clear and your priorities are, I mean, like the bigger blocks, if you were to look at from the 7 habits of thing, right? What are my, so I think these kind of sessions, more than the execution aspect, at least that's bringing out that, hey, get the clutter out, get the clarity part of it.
Differently, yeah.
And at the same part of it, there are sessions where I attend where they clearly give us execution methodologies. Guys, what you're learning has to get implemented.
Correct.
It has to become a habit for you to. It's not about just changing the priorities and getting it one time. I mean, like some of this here are largely a one-time clarity things that, hey, the clutter is gone, the clarity is emerging. That is the aspect. But in some other places, what we find is, hey, they are giving me tools and templates. Now I'm saying, every day morning I've decided I have to do this for the first 10 minutes.
Correct.
Get that habit for 21 days, 32 days.
Right. Exactly.
Move that on.
Exactly. A friend of mine had told me a story. I don't know how far it's true, but I found it to be fascinating about this guy. Every 3 months, whenever he attended anything, he had a large chart of paper on his in his room, and obviously when you enter that room in the morning, you have the photo of the gods and you do the arti and all that stuff. What this guy had literally done was, next to the photo of the gods, he had put these 3 statements. So it's like, I will not, or I will. It's very personal, saying this is the habit that I need to bring. For example, I'm very bad in reviews. Right? I don't have a calendar, and I've tried to do that. And what, as an example, this guy was saying is, you will say, I will review every week, right? I will have a calendar. Whatever that you can take it as actionable. And what this guy used to do apparently was that, along with the puja, he used to kind of do a puja to that, and every morning he used to sit and write it some 20 times, saying it's like an imposition. But he said this guy's got into so much of a habit that you cannot run away from it. Right? Every day you're seeing it, and every day you're writing it, that it reinforces that stuff on you. My sense is that from a lot of these workshops, when we've done the Start EDU or when we've gone to Coimbatore, is that one part you're right, there's this clarity of thought, right? That suddenly you see the haze lifting and you're saying, hey, this is the pattern that I was looking for, which is fine. Now you got to, once you see it, you see it. But I think the more difficult part of being an entrepreneur is not just that idea, but how do you execute it on the ground, right? And I believe that idea is not even worth the paper it is written on. It is about what do you execute.
I have one executing on the ground. Last time we attended this disruption session, right? To focus on ignored market, where the sales will happen there. That was one principle which we took and executed. And it worked very well. The sales happen. Look at that focus and it will. So that is one thing which we implemented. It worked.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah, so
immediate benefit.
just as an immediate benefit, absolutely. Because otherwise, what happens is many times I feel a sense of I wouldn't say helplessness or hopelessness, because it's great to meet entrepreneurs who are saying, hey, last time you said this, or we heard this from this workshop, this is what I've gone and implemented. We need to see more of those stories. Otherwise, many times I feel like a broken record saying the same thing over and over again. And we are keeping on revisiting the same issues. We have to move forward. right?
I think one thing that works really well, not in the workshop environment, for example, when I meet my investors or advisors, is when you have discussions, like you pin down what are the key things that you really need to go back and email them back.
Exactly.
Right? That these are the things we discussed I have to do,
Exactly.
and then mark it in your calendar that after a week or 2 weeks, you
Correct.
have to write a mail back and saying
What
what's
have you
happened.
accomplished?
And I think if you form that habit, it just happens naturally, right? And after a point of time, your brain starts working like that.
Exactly.
For example, if I remember, like we met at Let's Venture, right? And there was 2 questions you posed, which still are in my head, right? And before I was coming, I knew I'll catch you here, and I'm gonna have a discussion with you about that. So I think once
Right.
you start doing that, it just becomes a habit then.
Absolutely.
I also educated my co-founder. So everything that I had written down in my notes.
You will go ahead. Yeah.
We made some decisions as to
Fantastic.
which way we'll move forward, what we do first, and what we sequence later, and so on.
Fantastic. So each of you have to find your own ways, right? And there's no single answer. The only point I'm making is you take it, implement it. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, you know why it's not worked. Then you can come back and say, hey, this is not worked. I need to try something else, right? So, just to draw this to a close, I'm saying the lesson that I will take, that if I were to summarize from my perspective, one, customer. Don't think product, right? Get your customer insights right. Who is the customer? And I'm sure, it must have got covered that education is probably the only sector where you have 5 different animals, right? So you have to figure out who your customer is, right? Customer, consumer, user, beneficiary, influencer. It's all a khichdi out there, right? You've got to figure out who your customer is, who's the guy who's going to sign on the check, and what value will you deliver to it. Be anal on your focus on the customer. Your product will sort itself out. Second, leverage networks. Collaborate, because this, as we discussed, it's not, you can't crack it, or you'll take far more time cracking it on your own than if you build an ecosystem, and plugging into networks is very critical. Third, it's all about execution, and it's not about the idea. I don't think there's anything, if you just think about it, last 5 years in education, can you think of one idea that you made you sit up and say, wow, how the hell did that guy think of that idea? And it's not that there are new rocket sciences that are coming into the space. We all know that you have to motivate the learner, you have to inspire the teacher, and you got to build tools to make it happen. And there's no rocket science there. The rocket science is in how do you execute on that. Right? In an execution, all the issues come into play: scale, profitability, how do you make your unit economics? So all that nice, interesting question that VCs like to throw at us are all there. No specific reference to my area. Right? But just go ahead and execute and learn from that, and the path will open up by itself. And it will take time. Just be patient, and hopefully you'll find a lot of patient investors as well, right? Because that is very much required, specifically in this space. And hopefully, at least on the money side, I wish all of you hit it as big as at least the latest star in the ecosystem is Byju's. Mark Zuckerberg, remember, has $69 billion or something to give. And he has given him only 50 million. So there's a lot of money to be taken. Right, so wish you all the very best.
Yeah.
And Blue Wish and Ford happy to be of help in any way. Thank you.
Thank you.